Trollord Games. Join the fray.
Alright, here we are for Ask Me Anything. Oh, I had the date all queued up and then I forgot it. It's May 11th, 2021. That's what date it is. Alright, good deal. Got a lot of things worked out today. I like it. I like it when things are getting worked out. Chuck and I are hammering out all kinds of mess. But all that's good. Night 5150, you're part of that hammering out. So it's all good. We'll get this stuff. Rolling. Let's see. So, anyways, yeah. So, how's it going? Night 51. Yeah, it's going to be a few coming your way. We're going to get it. I think in the beginning it's going to be bumpy because we got to gather the tokens, and the maps are continuing to be an issue. But we got some things working out. Hopefully that starts to come together. I guess is what I'm trying to say. That should start coming together relatively quickly. Within the next 6 weeks, I'm hoping. Ah, good. That's good. Art assets are the biggest roadblock for sure, but I have faith. Yeah, it's really, it's one of the ways TLG has done business for 20 years is we didn't ever feel it necessary, and this is my decision. We never felt it necessary to make art for every single thing that was out there. And obviously VTT doesn't respond well to that, so it's kind of playing catch up on our end. And then the maps, of course, are their own little boondoggle. But talking to several people simultaneously, we should be able to get that squared up. How's it going, Great Babe? Thank you. My hair was getting, as soon as it starts pushing my glasses, it's got to go. And I started to cut it myself the other day, and my wife said, I'll do it. So she gave me a nice, good haircut. How's it going, Jay? Hope you're having a good week. Good deal, Great Bait, good deal. Hey, Willie, how you doing? So the tokens are a huge part of it. I think that the tokens will be manageable. It's the maps that are going to be the kind of the bumpy part. But we'll bring it together. And of course, I had a good talk with the developer on who's overhauling the rule set for Fantasy Ground, so that'll be good too. I think once it actually starts to fall together. Shit, there we go. Once it starts to fall together, then it'll all pick up pretty quick. Just so many irons in the fire, which is always a very good thing. Thank you for the sub, Knight. Very much appreciated. Waits for advert to end. Eventually, Bifford. How's it going, Enoch? So I'm not sure if Chuck is going to join us today. He and I have been working all day together, and he is hard at work on the herbalism book that is attached to the Castle Keeper's Guide Kickstarter. He's got a pretty hard deadline on that, so he should be able to bring that together pretty quickly. Speaking of that Castle Keeper's Guide, I keep sneaking things in there. We put herbalism in there as a skill set, so that kind of cattywamped a little bit of stuff, and I went in and added a very short section on challenge levels that are tied to hiring NPCs when you use a crier or what is it? You get like 5 different methods to CKG. There's criers, placards. Whatever the hell they are. So the CKG has all that crap in it, and it needed tweaked just a little bit. And then there was something else. So I'm trying to jam more text into a book that is way overloaded with text to begin with. So how's it going, long shot, old school? Yeah, it's but it's good. It's one of those things. I wish that I had the time, and it's not even a time issue. What I'm finding out in playing with these younger guys, these from 15 up to 20, that they're doing so many different things, and they're doing things so differently that it's requiring me to dive into the CKG. And much to the book's credit, the CKG has most of what I've needed, but some of it needs a little bit of tweaking or a little bit of clarity. It's, you know, I experienced GMs can go in there and fix it or add to, but inexperienced GMs may want that stuff right there readily available. And there are a lot, an absolutely astronomical number of new gamers coming in, new GMs and DMs. Well, probably not new now. Been running games for a year or two. That this stuff could be helpful for. It's all very interesting. The whole thing is very interesting, but I keep trying to jam just a little bit more in there. I'm probably going to go to print. I can't go to print actually until they have sent me the signed bid, and I have the bid on hand, and they have not sent me that bid yet. Usually it takes a few days to put the bid together, especially for something a little bit more complicated like the CKG. So it will be going to the press very soon, but we can still kind of tweak things a little bit as needed. Let's see, good deal. Hey, Action Shield, how's it going, man? Chris, you doing all right? We still need to sit down and have a chat about not only cross-promotional products, but just doing some projects together. Tom Tullis over at Fat Dragon, Elisa, Action Shield. For those of you who don't know, Tim, can you put up Action Shield's website so people that may not be familiar with it can check it out? Yeah, and I'm very close to getting you a number for the things we need for the PHB Kickstarter. I'm very close to it. So many other things keep cropping up. Like today, we were yeah, no doubt. You got to manufacture them. Today we're working on the Goya for the Warden, wrapping it up. You know, getting these things done. Literally, we're at that very last little bit, and I realized that we didn't have the schematic of the ship itself, and that's a problem. We needed the schematic for the ship. So I shot Peter Bradley a text and said, "Hey, do we have a schematic on this?" And he said, "Hey, no." And so he and I are brainstorming. He already had kind of a good idea, and then I had a couple of concepts. So we've kind of thrown all that together. Not thrown together, but I'm putting that together in this schematic diagram to give to him so he can finish up the actual picture of the ship. For those of you who don't know, the Goya is a spaceship that is attached to the Starship Warden Kickstarter, and basically it's going to give players a launching pad. I'm writing it, and it'll give the players kind of what the hell do you call it? It's launch pad, haven, I don't know, a place to regroup after adventures will be in the Goya, which is named after is it Renaissance? No. A Dutch painter. I can't remember if it's the Renaissance School. I think it's the Renaissance School. And as we were talking about possibly driving down to you, literally maybe take an afternoon, an away shuttle. It's definitely got the away shuttle. Yeah, this is what this would be, an away shuttle. There you go. I can't remember what they called it. Damn, I should have named this ship Dark Star. That's what I should have named it. Damn it. Oh, well. Missed opportunities and all that. I can't, what was that little ship called that they flew back and forth from the Enterprise to something? I can't remember. But the Goya, I wonder if I can get a picture of it. Yeah, how's it going, 𝚃𝚘𝚘𝚕𝚔? Let me do this real quick. See if I can manage it. Is that a J? No, that is not a JPEG. Let's do it. Nope, didn't want to do that. Apparently, it's not going to be real quick. Open with Photoshop. There we go. There we go. And then we want to export. Bada boom, bada bing. Let's do that. That's perfect. What the? Yope. Let's do the desktop so I can find it easy. And now we're going to we'll see if this works. It's probably going to explode over the screen and irritate me, but import image. Let's do Goya. Browse. And that. And that. Oh, look at that. It works very well. So that is the Goya. That is the spaceship. and the title is the Goya, and that's the spaceship you will be on. Your characters will be on when you find the Starship Warden, and then you can begin exploring the Warden from this spaceship. If you don't want to start on the Warden itself, but it's, this is if you want to be from somewhere else, whatever, Earth, whatever, the salvage ship, whatever you want to do, this will be it, the Goya, and it'll come in and do the, then you can use it as your base of operations. That's what I was looking at. Yeah, Peter Bradley did that. He did a fantastic job. His spaceships always look so cool. I'm really, Jason Vey turned over the Star Siege rules a week ago, 2 weeks ago. They're in layout for the Warden 2. And I know Peter is, want to do a little bit of work on that. I know we got so many other projects that we're doing, but we've never really done spaceships. We've never really done this type of adventuring, promoted it much. We've had Star Siege out, but it was, a limited run of a couple of thousand box sets, blah, blah, blah. And so it'd be interesting to plunge into this new arena. Very cool. Yeah, Peter's very good at that. So he's doing the schematics for it now. And somewhere I've got like the Goya next to the Warden, and it's huge. I mean, it's tiny. It's itty bitty bitty bitty. The Warden, not the Gordon. Galileo. There you go. Trolls in space. Yeah. That's what we need. Trolls in space. We really do, though. We really need to expand the line in 452 different directions. And it's all there. All of the, the framework for all of this mess is set up and ready to go. We got to get caught up, which we're very, very close to doing. Every week we get another huge amount done. So it's very exciting. I mean, the whole thing is just very exciting. It's a good time to be a troll. It's going to be a very good summer, I think. Lots of Castles and Crusades releases. Of course, a little bit of 5th edition coming out as well. The Warden coming out, all kinds of stuff. And the NPC Almanac has turned into this absolutely monstrous book, way beyond my original conception of roughly 140 pages to 170 pages of NPCs. It's already at 356 pages, and we still have the second half to go in. Now, the second half is a little bit more condensed because it doesn't have any stat blocks, but it's still going to be 20. What is 20 times? Is it 50? Yeah, I think is it 20? Yeah. So it's going to be 1,000, and then 10 times. It's going to be 1,500 NPCs that are just regular Joe NPCs. So 1,500 of those NPCs, and then another. I don't even know how many of the class-based NPCs, but that's the biggest section. It's just going to be monstrous, far bigger than I conceived it, and now I'm having to reconceive of how I want to actually produce the book. We may split it into two because it's just so very, very large. I'm liking all the products you were talking about. Planescape should be interesting and read. That's what I'm the most interested in actually doing. That in a Castles book that Peter Bradley and I are working on. That in another project that Elise and I are working on. So there's a few of them. But the Planescapes, what I really want to do with that, and I don't know that I'm going to be able to do with this, is make it very playable. There's so much Planescape material out there, but it's very dense. It's sort of like the beginning part of the Codex of Erid. It's so dense you can't really take it, digest it, and run with it. So what I'm trying to do when we do the Planescapes is make it very digestible. So it's very quick, easy to get the information, and easy to regurgitate the information in game format. And so you can start playing. So if your characters, when you're playing Traveling, you're not just in Gehenna for 12 games. You're in Gehenna for like half a session, and then suddenly you find yourself, on the elemental plane of fire. So the GM has really got to be able to shift their thought processes and really kick their imagination into overdrive to make it playable. So the idea is, and I've got notes how I want to do this. The idea is to make it just a little bit more playable. Immediate random encounter charts, random terrain charts, stuff like that. Just stuff that you can get into immediately and rocket it out. That's always a problem. I love the box sets, the Planescapes box sets that came out years ago. Those were badass. I absolutely loved them. But it was so much material for me to digest that I couldn't quickly, like if they shifted to whatever plane, I couldn't quickly dive into it. I had to stop, start reading the material, and get it out. So maps, other stuff. I mean, I'm stoked on it. I'm really stoked on the Planescapes. It's really what I want to be working on. But until we get these other things, over the hump on these other things, it'll have to be delayed a little bit, but not much longer now. We should be into. I was hoping to be in the Player's Handbook at this point. Really, Peter's ready for it. I just haven't turned the files over for him, and he's ready to be in layout. So, Player's Handbook probably by Thursday. He'll be hammering away on that. So, pretty excited about that. How's it going? How's it going? Radalunza Lazar. I didn't do that at all, right? Rad. We'll just call you Rad. We'll go with that. That'll work. So, at any rate, but for those of you just joining the stream, my name is Stephen Chenault. I always forget to introduce myself, but my name is Stephen Chenault. I'm CEO of Troll Lord Games. If you have any questions, please throw them up into the feed here. We like to discuss all kinds of stuff from industry news to Kickstarters that TLG is working on to game philosophy, whatever it is. Whatever questions you have, throw them out. TLG has been around for a good long while now, a couple of decades. It's weird to actually be able to say that. Looking back, I've got this litany of memories that stretch into what seemed to be this, I don't know, at the dawn of time almost, because when we started this company, Mac Golden and myself and David Chenault, it was, obviously much smaller. Our focuses were so much, I don't know if different is the word, but publishing was so different. Everything was just so different than it is now. Different in the same. I mean, we're still doing things kind of that way, but there's so many different things out there now that with, like we're talking about today, VTT, all of it. It's just weird to look at and I'm going to have to write TLG's history. I absolutely have to, because it's just, I don't know, it's just fascinating stuff. I have Rad. Traveler is one of the few games that I've played a number of games, not a very large number. Davis and Mac, far more experienced RPGers than I am. My experience goes with Dungeons and Dragons, kind of this amalgam of game that Davis had put together from the Little Brown books when I started back in '77 and the beginning of the AD&D stuff, to Gamma World, the original Gamma World, the original Traveler, and then I played 3rd edition literally once, and not that it's a bad game. When we went back to AD&D, I didn't want to learn the rules. And then Castles and Crusades. I played Dark Heresy somewhere and all of that, and a Conan hybrid game. Dark Heresy was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed that. But Traveler is a great game. Traveler probably, in my opinion, and of course I haven't played a lot of them, is the most enjoyable of the sci-fi games, because it's so loose, it's so open, and it's so kind of what I envision space travel is going to be like. It's mundane, I guess, because you got to refuel, you got to do all these things. There's a mundane quality to Traveler, I think, that gives it such a feeling about it that it makes the game stand out in just a huge way. Huge fan of Traveler. Did y'all end up changing the spell format in the new PHB? Uma, we're still actually looking at that. And one of the things I noticed is in our spell charts that come before the spell section in the Player's Handbook, it actually does that already. It tells you the shorthand of the spell. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a second look at those and see if there's a way to see if they need any additional material put in them, and then if not, I don't know. I'm kind of torn. I kind of want to put them in there because some of those spells are pretty complicated. A lot of this stuff is pretty complicated, and we have, as designers, as you well know, we have a tendency, Davis and I, and Mac even too, to talk. We'll give the literary, I'm going to use that word for lack of anything better, we give the literary explanation of why this is, and then say what this is, when it would be better, I think, mechanics-wise, gameplay-wise, for the what it is to be listed first, and the reason why that is secondly. I was reading in the CKG yesterday, and it was about criers and all of that crap, how you get henchmen. and it explained all this stuff, and then at the end of the paragraph, it said, okay, and this is what you do, when it should have said, this is what you do at the beginning of the paragraph, and then explain why, because then those, like myself, who don't care why, can just read it and move on. Right? Okay, this is what I do. I move on. But to do that at this stage, we'd have to rewrite the entire game. Because we all of us write, and I can guarantee you, I don't know if Mac is listening today, but I can almost guarantee you Mac would say, do not do that. Because it takes away part of the philosophy behind Castles and Crusades, and I know you know this, but part of their philosophy behind CNC is to kind of show people that you don't have to, the mechanics don't matter. So the mechanics were always put at the end. Everything is put at the end so that you can talk about kind of the story elements of why all of this is, and here's your mechanic. And what that does is take the emphasis off of the mechanics and puts it on the story itself. The only exception we made to that was, and then we eventually broke this, the only exception we made to that was the way we arranged the classes. The original way we arranged the classes was by attribute, and not by the class itself. We put the focus on the attribute, their strength, blah blah blah. But even that didn't really even put the focus on it. So I don't know. That's still I'm still kind of out to pasture on that one. I don't think that phrase fits there at all. I don't think that phrase works there. But it's still kind of in the thought processes. I'll dive into it. I really do wish that we had better shorthand in some of these sections. But it adds, you put much shorthand in it, it adds page content. Maybe we needed the abbreviated. What we really need, almost. It definitely is a huge part of what when we were designing CNC. I remember having these conversations. Is we wanted people to focus. We don't care what they do, but we want them to understand that you can focus on the story more than the mechanics. And a little bit of this was a reaction to third edition, which was so mechanically heavily driven. Because that's kind of how we game. I mean, if you sit at my table, and you've sat at my table, you know this. I'll make up a rule on the spot, and I'll change a rule. I'll change things constantly to fit the story because it makes it more exciting or whatever. It can be very frustrating for a player. I understand that, because you don't know what the hell's what you you can't be 100% certain that your actions are going to have the desired outcome. I don't know. It's one of those things. We really need to address all of this. And man, this has completely fallen off the radar. This was all the conversation last year. And you probably remember this. Probably a lot of you guys remember this. We were going to do a rules cyclopedia. What the fuck happened to the rules cyclopedia? Why? Where did that go? We were working on that. Somebody was good. Tyler was working on that. That's who was working on it, and he left the company. Okay, so we need to bring back the rules cyclopedia. That's what we really need to do. All right. Tried playing Traveler in high school, but died during character creation, just like the joke. Finally played a session at a con a couple of years ago. Enjoyed it. Yeah, Traveler's one of those things. That means character creation, it kills your character, which I thought was really unique. I thought it was really kind of interesting. So if you make it to the point where you have a character, even as you start the game, you've got something vested in the character. I thought that was a pretty cool concept. Are the high-level class abilities going to be added to the player archive? They are not going to be added to the player archive. There's a couple of reasons for that. One, the primary reason, this is, I want the archive to be true to Max and Davis's original vision of CNC that capped down at the 13th level. So I want to keep it there. The only exception is going to be the rune mark, because the rune mark's character is kind of built around its relic creation. So the rune mark goes to 24th level, but you need, the idea behind the rune mark is the relic is a huge part of the character. And the kind of the smaller and tertiary reason is that, secondary reason is that the Adventurer's Backpack, we have not fleshed all of those out. And I'm going to have to give those some serious thought before I dive in and branch them all out. So I don't want to delay the player's archive as I try to kind of filter through all of that. But for consistency's sake, and as a tip of the hat to the old, then the archives are going to be very truncated, abbreviated. They're going to, not truncated, but they're going to be, this is what you get. These are the 13th levels. That design philosophy is kind of set by the wayside, but it's still kind of floating around in there. But yeah, so no, they will not go to the high levels. They will be in the player's handbook though. So you will have all of your, and when we redo the Adventurer's Backpack, which that's not on the docket yet, when the second printing of the Adventurer's Backpack goes out, I mean, it's a strong seller, but it's probably got at least another year of stock. When the second printing comes out, we'll probably beef those up. And if we do it in the interim, we'll definitely put it up online for free, so you don't have to go buy the second printing of the Adventurer's Backpack when and if that ever happens. So, I actually really like that book. It's one of my favorite books that we've done. And not only because I wrote it, it's just got content in it that I like. And I love its hand-to-hand combat rules. I really dig those because they're so simple. They're so very, very simple. So I got a funny story. I want to throw this out to you guys. I got a funny story to tell you. I'm going to give you the slightly longer, not abbreviated version. So I'm running this game for these young bloods, and they've, at second level, they got a deck of many things, and they pulled a card, and one of them was they got an adversary or whatever. And that's another thing I want to overhaul, is a deck of many things and make each card more playable, but that's another subject. But anyway, so this adversary, I kind of put it together. It's a demon, and it's a type, in AD&D terms, it's a type 5 demon. It's a Marlith demon, the snake body with the female torso and the 6 arms. So with these guys, so they've been fighting this creature off and on for levels. Now they're like 6th and 7th level now. I think the rogue is 8th, or the thief is 8th level. So they're pretty stoutly up there. And they had through all their adventures, and they have found a scroll that allowed them to summon this particular demon. Well, they summoned her because they wanted to kill her. They figured they were strong enough, and they're pretty stout. I mean, they got magic and hit points and all this bullshit. But so I didn't really ever pay attention to her stats, as I never do when I picked her as the enemy and they summoned her. And when I was reading, I was doing a quick read to see what she could do and what she can't do, and I realized she's got a 31 armor class. They literally have no way of hitting her. Unless, and this is, I'm 50-50 on what I did here, so I'm kind of curious what you guys would do. So, at this juncture, their best bonuses they can get is like +7 or +8. There's no fighter in the group. And so the highest they can roll, if they roll a 20, a natural 20 is like 28, I think. And she's got a 31 AC, so they're not even in the ballpark of hitting her. Well, they didn't know that, of course, and they summoned this creature, and I started laughing, not out of, animosity or cruelty or anything like that. I said, oh my God, they can't even hit this damn thing. So he swings, and his first swing out the gate, he wins initiative. First swing out the gate was a natural 20. And he added it. He goes, natural 20, and he got so excited because he jumped up because he's going to he's going to hit this creature and do a horrific amount of damage to it. Well, I have said many, 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 many times at my table that the natural 20 is not an automatic hit. And everyone... Almost. That's what I'm curious. Yeah, that's what I'm curious. So, and they were all fine with it. Because the funniest thing that happened next was I said... because all Pete said was, I got a natural 20. And then I said, what are you adding to that? And then you can see his face changed from exaltation to, uh-oh. And he started laughing. Because now, Pete loves a challenge. He loves a hard fight. He really does. And he started laughing. He goes, I got... And he started adding it all up. And then he knew he was screwed. And he came up to 28 or 27 or whatever it was. And I said, you missed. And he goes, all right, guys, we got to get out of here. It was so funny because he instantly, within like maybe 15 seconds, 10 seconds of gameplay, went from the ultimate exaltation to we got to get the hell out of here or we're all going to die because we can't hit this creature. So the Divine Knight cast Dismissal. He had that queued up, ready to go just in case. Cast Dismissal. And she's got horrible saves. She failed her save miserably, and they dismissed her. So she showed up, got hit with a two-handed sword, or not hit, and then got dismissed. So she's going to be extraordinarily angry at this point. But it's funny, so I'm curious what you guys would do. So for you, Omer, natural 20 is always a hit. I feel really bad. I feel as if the 20, even if I don't normally allow it in that circumstance, because it was his enemy... It was his, the nemesis. That's literally his nemesis for this past 15 games. And this Demoness has been attacking them, sending her minions to attack them every 2 games. They're so tired of it. And that's one reason they summoned her, because they got attacked in their guild hall. It destroyed half the guild hall, and then they're like, all right, wizard, summon this creature with your scroll and let's kill her. I'm tired of this crap. And then, of course, that unfolded. So I'm curious what you guys would say. See, Rad says we did 20 always hit and 1 to 5 always missed. Use the old crit and fumble charts as well. Let's see, Statler, sounds like a boss fight. You can work in a breaking through the armor type of mechanic, something that eventually lowers the AC of the boss. Now, that's a good idea. They're already now kind of calculating what they got to do to get their bonuses up, but reducing her AC might be the better way to go. I think a natural 20 hits in most games, excluding Pathfinder 2. Nat 20 at my table only does higher damage, still must beat AC. See, that's how I am. And I don't know why I'm that way. I don't really... I know... I mean, you can make an argument that if it always hits, then you have a 5% chance of always hitting. And is that a bad idea? I mean, it's not really a bad idea. I think I always felt as a GM that it took away some of my ability to control the story, and just like in this circumstance, and we can carry this circumstance out a little bit further. So let's do that. Let's say we're going to and this is the big picture of how I look at this stuff, not just this encounter, but if we let the natural 20 hit, okay. And that's the only way they could hit this creature, because her armor class is such that if they roll a 19, everything they add to it, everything they add to it's not going to hit. So if he had hit with a natural 20 out the gate, then they're going to assume there's a chance to hit, and they're going to stay and fight. When in fact, there's very little chance of them hitting, and they're probably going to get annihilated because they literally have to roll a natural 20, which I guess happens. Not frequently, but it happens. So that's kind of, I think, why I don't allow them to hit automatically, because I can't, once you do that, you can't take it back, and you can't control. It's just one more or less of control, I guess. I'm not sure. That's very weird. It did make an awesome moment. And I got to say, and of course, now my crew, this is where I cannot do this justice. When we started this game, they insisted on using the critical hit tables from the CKG. And through Pete's first character, he rolled a 1, and then he fumbled. So he rolled on the fumble table, and he rolled a natural 20, which was instant death. I don't know how he did it, but he rolled 4 times. And he rolled like 120, 120, whatever. And he ended up decapitating himself or cutting his own throat or something and killing himself using the critical hits. It was insane. It was an insane series of rolls. And after that, they dropped the critical hit. And at that point, I was telling them, a natural 20 doesn't always hit, blah, 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 blah. And they were fine with it. No one complained. No one cared. They all loved the encounter. It made that awesome moment, like you're talking about Axe and Shield, but and they instantly were like, we're out. We're out, which is really cool. Maybe pull a smog and say the hit didn't do damage, but created a weak point. Now, that's a good idea. Now, that's cool. So... now that I like. See, now that's a great thing to put in a CKG that I have no room to put anything else in the CKG. Because that actually gives you wiggle room all the way around. You hit and you reduced your AC. Now that would have been great. A natural 20 reduces your AC by 2 points or something like that. And, disables an arm or whatever. That's very cool. I like that. That's very good, David. They needed to make the choice of run at the moment. Yep, I had to set the adversary up, and knowing their power, I would lower her AC. That's probably what I should have done. But this adversary has become... I kind of intended this, so it's not... I can't say it's accidental. It's become a huge thing in the game, the adversary. And actually, when I saw the AC, when I saw her abilities... And I don't know about the other games, but if you look in CNC, this Demoness doesn't have she's not insanely powerful in this regard. She's got Dispel Magic, Command, and something else. Her hit dice isn't huge. She's got something else in there, but she doesn't have a lot of abilities. But what she does have is 6 swings around and a multi-attack. That's the other thing. And so she can do a huge amount of damage, and she can't be hit very hard. Her saves are for shit. I mean, so she's not that powerful. So I didn't actually want to drop her AC, because I thought if I did that, they're going to annihilate her quick. And I don't really want her annihilated quick. I don't mind her getting annihilated. I don't care about that. But I didn't want it to be a fast fight. And you know how it is when you've got 4th, 6th, 7th level characters. The amount of damage they're suddenly, from like 3rd to 5th level, it just skyrockets from they do a little bit of damage to suddenly they're doing 30 damage around, and it gets nuts. And for a lower hit dice monster, that'll cut through a monster quick. But that is, I really like that AC. That's a very interesting concept. I think the rule works. It sets up another more awesome encounter later in the campaign. I think that's kind of why I go with it, because it's not there's no sure things, right? There's no sure things. And it's I don't know, it's very interesting. I'd love to see how other people game, though. And I think I'm in the minority. I don't think a lot of people, I think a lot of GMs, I think most, I got on this TikTok thread thing where they were all saying 20 is always a hit. We did a 1 to 5 miss because we normally took the characters up to about level 20, and old rules you basically never missed. Oh, yeah. You get to a certain point, you're hitting. Or some hint in the scroll for power levels that they had an opportunity to understand they were not up to the test. I don't think I hinted too much on this one, because they had asked me a couple of days before, and I said, yeah, maybe. I think maybe, because you guys are pretty powerful. I gotta tell you, though, they roll horribly. These guys roll terribly. It's crazy. Though, now here's the frustrating thing for these guys. So, the thief shot, this is just funny. The thief shot 5 bolts, and then at the end of the combat, this was in another combat, at the end of the combat, and it was like in some kind of really rough terrain, marsh or something. End of the combat, Aiden said, can I go look for my bolts? And I said, you're not. It's the terrain's just, well, he said, can I even look? And I said, fine. If you roll a 19 or 20, you find the bolts. He rolled 2 natural 20s and 2 19s and like a 5. So he found 4 bolts. He used 2 natural 20s and 2 19s. I don't know if the dice work that way, but it sure did eat them up. It was really funny. There's no such thing as balance. If they can't hit, they can't hit. It builds character. There you go. I like it. It builds character. Yeah, I think that's one of the reasons I do that. I think, let me see. Once you get players that will trust you, then most of the problem is taken care of. No paladin aside. They've got an Oath Sworn. They got 2 characters from the Adventurer's Backpack, a Divine Knight and the Oath Sworn. And that Oath Sworn is powerful. His BTH isn't great, but his ability to do combat maneuvers is tremendous. So that's, and then he's Oath Sworn against evil, so he gets all these bonuses against evil. It was going to be a hard fight because, yeah, it's the Marlith. His AC is high, and the hit dice is not great, so it wasn't going to be... It was going to be a lot of slugging each other. Does she have huge... Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I let a monster that was far above the party to TPK them, but moved them into the abyss and woke them up in the warden. Oh, very cool. They wake up in the Starship Warden. We had a guy drown in a 6-inch stream with a bad fumble roll. Yeah, that's the horrible way to go. Drowning is always a horrible way to go. Happens too often in my game, but it is definitely a horrible way to go. I don't know, it's very interesting. I don't know, very, very interesting. Mac Golden, who co-designed, or he and Davis designed Castles and Pursuits, he allows natural 20s to be an automatic hit. I doubt Davis does. I cannot, for the world of life of me, imagine Davis doing it. I don't know. It's very interesting. I do so much for the story, though, is what I really gotta do when I'm trying to play these things. Because I actually thought they were going to kill her. I really did. Until I looked at the AC, I thought, she's not that powerful. They're going to cut. They had just killed a 12-hit dice demon, like the week before. So I thought they were going to cut through her pretty quick. But that went the opposite direction when I saw that AC. It's kind of funny. The monster that sent my party to the abyss was Marlon. Oh, very cool. It's one of my favorite demons, I think. Not because it's a half-clad naked demoness, but because she gets 6 attacks per round. I really like that concept. There was an old Sinbad movie. Didn't the Sinbad movie have one of these creatures in it that had multiple attacks, snake body? I'm sure that's my brain is falling back on that. That'd have been like 1970s or something. I don't know. It's time to use those combat maneuvers that limit the enemy's AC advantage, like Overbear. Yeah, there's that, and he's got one. See, I thought he would have a chance. There's something. Is it Overbear? Maybe it's some kind of combat maneuver that they have that gives them a +6 to hit. Is it offensive focus? It's offensive focus. I can't believe with offensive focus he couldn't hit. Surely he couldn't, because it's +6 anyway. Golden Voyage of Simba. I bet you it was the Golden Voyage. Dance for Nikali. Get Dance for Mikali. We all know the same movie. Those were great movies when I was a kid. I loved the Sinbad movies. They got kind of, offensive focus. Yeah, it's a +6, I think. And his BTH should be, he's 6th level, so it's probably +5. I'll bet you it's not +5. I'll bet you the Oath Sworn. Of course, you lose AC if you do the... Let's see, where is this guy? I think he's definitely the Oath Sworn. There he is, BTH. BTH is 5. If he offensive focus, that'd be +11. He rolled a natural 20. He should have been able to hit. I'll have to ask him what he was adding. Starting up CNC is an exercise in realizing how much people assume in a game. My first session, players automatically assume 0-level spells are endless. I bet that is a common clarification. There's all kinds of stuff. It's very funny when you, especially coming from 4th and 5th edition, as so many new players are. There's so many things, and I just learned the other day, does 5th edition have some kind of heal pack? Like you can go step out of combat and heal yourself like at 1 hit point or something. I don't know what it is. But yeah, there's stuff that the game is just given to the characters. So when they get into Castles and Crusades, it's not. Everything's got a limit to it, and it's a hard adjustment. Now I think once the adjustment is done, because the real adjustment isn't so much learning that there's limits, but learning that what you can do is limitless, and then that gives you far more greater maneuverability and power on the field than you ever think you have. Thanks for stopping by, Chris. We definitely got to hook up Discord and sit down and have a conversation about all kinds of stuff that we're doing. But yeah, great seeing you again. Yeah, dying in 5e is harder than staying alive. Yeah, there's something in there. I can't remember what it is. 5e allows to self-heal with short rest mechanic based on class hit dice and level. There you go. I'd heard that, I think in this stream a couple of weeks ago. And CNC doesn't have any of that. It's got a limit on cantrips. It's got a limit on heal. It's got a limit on everything. But the adjustment, I think, is difficult now. I think most people make it with a gusto because they learn, one, that they can do so many other things. But when there's a greater chance of death, there's a little bit more, adrenaline involved, a little bit more to it. They give you your level in hit dice for healing per long rest, I think. They give you your level in hit dice. So in hit points, I assume. So if you're 7th level, you could do the short rest and heal 7 hit points. CNC is not limited. It's just a different way of thinking. That's just it. That's a great way of putting it, Omer, because it is what limitations it has on it are really mechanically based. And it's one of those things that I've had this conversation with a guy not long ago, and especially with the rune mark spells. We got another 180 that was rolling out. I mean, they're done. They're in editing now. Are they in editing? Oh shit, they might not be in editing. Shit, that's disturbing. Anyways, we've had a number of people want to ham the spells in and to make them more concrete, and I don't want that. There's got to be the CK and the player have to have a lot of room to interpret and a lot of latitude to do things, so that they can build and play. And the CK is just going to have to adjudicate. It's as hard. It's hard. I hate that. It's not right, because once you get into it, it's insanely easy. You have to make that mental transition both as a player and a CK. That if you're running the game, you're going to have to do a lot of on-the-cuff rulings, just a lot of them, and it doesn't matter. You just make it and you roll, and they can be different. You don't have to have this huge, grand consistency. It's Magic, for God's sake. There's all kinds of things that affect it. And on the player's end, there's a leap to go from what's written down to what you can actually try, because you can really try anything. And you just will probably fail if you're not skilled at it. Or you maybe not. I mean, if you're a higher level, you get a greater chance of doing it. Let's see. So at 6th level, you can roll your hit dice to heal whenever you're not in combat 6 times. Oh, okay. So you would roll. Oh, holy crap! That's a lot of hit points. Wow. Influence of modern video games. Yeah, that started in 4th edition because they had those heal things where you stood on them or something. They were trying to bring the video game crowd into it. And I don't think that you need to handhold video gamers. I don't know why we treat them as if they're some kind of gamer that can't suffer damage and die. They die constantly in their games and they don't care. They're just like we are. So I think that I think that the game design side of things wants to coddle these video gamers, and they don't need it. What they need is actually to know that there's adrenaline, heart pumping in the tabletop RPGs, just like there is in a video game. Actually, you'd spend up to 6 hit dice during a short rest to regain. On long rest, you would gain all hit points and half the number of spent hit dice. Oh, wow. That's a lot of hit points. Another adjustment is trying to tell the players, don't let your ability stats tell the story of your character. You decided what your character is, not the number on the page. Absolutely. That's the key to it. And your background can play into all kinds of stuff that you can do with your character. And you just ask the CK. That's all you got to do. And the CK's got to adjudicate. That's just it. They got to say yes or no, or roll the dice. I let certain fighter types take a short rest once per day to gain their level and hit point healing, but it requires the use of an advantage talent. Oh, there you go. Yeah, because those are buried in the CKG somewhere in the back, and that gives them something. Mine are usually, it's just bang up, mangled characters, but it's one reason I encourage healing from multiple directions. I rarely give healing potions because they're one-shots. It's why I created that, I can't remember the rock's called, but it's in the MTFA, that you put it in the sunlight and it splits. It splits every 10 minutes, I think, and you take a piece of the rock off and eat it, and you can heal. So you can heal up to 6 hit points in an hour if it's a sunny day. And if you don't eat the whole rock, then you're good. It's not really a rock. It's like rocky candy, something like that. Let's see, on the cuff, rulings of the way. Hey, Geek Preacher, how's it going? Yeah, absolutely, all the time, just constantly ruling. And it, like I said, in some kind of overall game philosophy should probably be there, but a constant consistency from ruling to ruling is not necessary. The spell works differently. That's all there is to it. I find the new additions feed into the video game player mentality of every battle is supposed to be winnable. As a player, I feel it takes away from the suspense and danger feelings. Yeah, I think that, I don't know if the first part of your statement is correct, Athelstan. I don't know. I haven't played enough video games. All I remember is when I played Doom 2, I never actually defeated that monster at the end of the big thing. You know, when I don't know if you've played it, but at the end of it, you got these this pyramid type thing. You got to go down, fight all these monsters, and shoot this RPG across this chasm into the monster's mouth and blow his head off or something. I always had to put in the cheat codes and go over there and kill him. Super healing and elves with donkey ears make me feel old. Yeah, just know you can live forever. Yeah, there you go. I got one of them fancy TLG coffee mugs. Ask it, then you shall receive it. Good deal, clever. It's a different style of play. Some like the video game style of play in their TTRPGs, and some go for the more gritty. I prefer gritty. Most of the younger gamers I talk with are more interested in the narrative than anything else, and they want to contribute to the story. See, and that's Geek Preacher. That's why I'm seeing that too on TikTok, and that's one reason I want to get Castles and Crusades in these people's hands more, because actually our lack of focus on mechanics does both of those things. It actually makes it more gritty and gives the narrative simultaneously. It makes it tougher, gives the CK more wiggle room, and allows the players and the CK to create a greater narrative at the table, because you're not hemmed in by mechanics. We talked about this at the beginning. It's why we always bury our mechanics, or we have traditionally buried our mechanics, because we want the story first. Steve, did you ever watch the HBO series Carnival? I never did, though I remember it popping out. I remember that being on my watch for a while, and I don't know why it just fell off. There's been a number of TV shows that just fall off. I started that thing the other day, and I completely forgot to finish it. It's on Netflix? I can't remember. Something about schooners in the desert. It also gets into the philosophy of hit points. Are hit points purely physical, or do they include fatigue and wear? If the latter, then rapid healing makes more sense. Yeah, definitely that. You have not asked me that, Grey Babe, but I can't remember why I didn't watch it. I think Peter Bradley talks about that one quite a bit. I take it it's good. Is it worth watching? I'm pretty tired of 5e anyways because of the participation trophy style of game design. It's become really hard to fail because failing isn't fun. Yeah, I think that's the thing that the designers are getting wrong. I think failing is actually fun, and I think most people think it is, so long as there is an end game for success. You know, you don't want to watch Lord of the Rings and at the end of it, Gollum beats the crap out of Frodo and throws him in Mount Doom and then goes off to do whatever Gollum does, eat fish and strangle goblin babies or whatever Gollum does. You don't want that, right? But you want to know that somewhere in all of this, you might lose everything and end up in Cirith Ungol or whatever. So I think that there's, and I think video gamers are the same. I think that game design today has gone in a direction. It's tried to mimic a video game, and like I am told constantly by my video game compadres and the people at my table that video games and RPGs and TTRPGs are completely different, and they shouldn't be. The TTRPG shouldn't be trying to mimic video game stuff. If a video game wants to play a video game, a video gamer wants to play a video game, that's what they're going to do. People blame the video game folks, and there were certainly some aspects with cooldowns for abilities, but The Can't Be Killed is absolutely not a video game. It's a theoretical plot armor crowd that made everyone practically unlikable, unkillable, and every fight can be won. Yeah, I think I'm pretty certain that most video gamers don't care if they die. I mean, but they respawn, and a video game there's not a lot difference between respawning and resurrecting or reincarnating, right? There really isn't. And you can call it respawning or you can call it reincarnation. It's the same thing. I had a character killed not long ago. They resurrect, or they raise dead. They cast raise dead and brought him back. He just respawned, and that's essentially all he did. So I think that the game designers have done a disservice to the video game players and have missed a golden opportunity. And I'm hoping that CNC can actually fill that. I see you have HBO Max. Check it out. Carnival's a great show. I don't actually have HBO. I even canceled Amazon the other day. I don't know why. The hard to die thing does allow the DMCK to unleash the full fury of the monsters. It does that without a doubt. You can definitely beat the living crap out of them. And Clancy Brown is a crazy preacher. It's like Dust Bowl type era. See, I know I've seen that. I know that, not the show, but I know that I remember that. I remember all that being on my watch list. Now the precious is mine. Time for fishes. Yeah, exactly. who wants to end Lord of the Rings that way? So you don't want it to end that way. But definitely, I think having the crap beat out of you on the way is the way to go. Having four PCs die before fourth level makes that fifth PC you level to 7. It does, without a doubt. It definitely does. Respawn proves the point. I didn't know video games progressed after Diablo 2. Cancel it. Yeah, I got rid of it. It just, I was sitting there thumbing through shows, and I'm not watching any of it. I'm spending as much time thumbing it. We weren't ordering Prime anymore. Cheaper to get it elsewhere. I try to support local, so I quit doing that. So we were paying $90 for nothing, really, except for me to sit there and scroll and look at crap. My wife hardly watches TV unless I'm watching it. So I said, just cancel it. So we canceled it. So it's gone, and I haven't missed it since. I love Carnival. As a preacher, it's essential watching. There you go. Respawn proves the point. Well, see, I think it's a little bit different though. I saw someone say the other day that our system. Okay, now this is a big picture thing, and it's a little silly, in my opinion, I should say. But what was it? The society began to go wrong when they put the save button on video games, and I thought, what? And he's talking about now you no longer had a risk of death in your video games where there was a real consequence. If you died, in the beginning, then you had to start the whole damn game over and do it again. And I sort of understand where he's coming from, but looking at Doom 2, holy Carolina crap, I played that so much. I don't think I ever would have made it past the 8th or 9th level if I didn't have save. I can't remember ever going all the way through. Now Davis actually being Davis, he would use the save button, but if he died, he started over. Or did you have to? I can't remember. Anyways, yeah, I'm not sure. Video games are so complex and they're so huge, and they've got so many sides to them. Like if you're playing GTA and you had $12 million and you die and you got to start over, then the whole thing. And you're just doing this. It's very contained, right? It's not like an RPG. You're going to do the same story over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. So if you die in an RPG, the story can go different. But if you die in a video game, the story doesn't go different. So you're just playing the same thing over again, and you accidentally goof up, you sneeze while you're holding a controller, die, and the whole game's all. You got to do it all over again. You're like, son of a bitch. But in RPGs, it's not like that. So I think essentially the games are very different. They should be played differently. They should be looked at differently. It's all very different. What is not different is the gamer. I think that the gamers are gamers, and whether we're coming out from video games, we're coming out from RPGs, we're coming out from Monopoly, or whatever game it is, people like games. And this is a philosophy of mine that I think developed in working with Gary Gygax and my brother Davis, because I played so few games myself, AD&D, Traveler, Gamma World, CNC, that I didn't ever quite understand how many games there were out there and how people like Gary and Davis love games. They love games. Gary would play any type of game you drop it on the table in front of him. He loved games. He loved to dissect the mechanics of it, the statistics of it, the whatevers of it, and to play it. He loved that. And Davis is the same way. So when we would do our conventions up in Lake Geneva, and I would sit at the table, and I only played a couple games with them, but it was mostly watching those guys play. It's very fascinating to me. And that's when I began to realize that gamers are gamers, and it goes way beyond the table that I'm sitting at and the style of game that I play. And then watching my sons grow up and daughter grow up playing so many video games and how they play them differently, but how much they loved and how many different types of games that they would play. There was just so many types of games that I would never think to play, ever. My brain's not built that way. That I came to realize that gamers are actually gamers. It's the type of game, and that's why I think that the RPGs have not. They haven't done poorly. Don't get me wrong. I mean, D&D 5th Edition has done great. It's a great game. People love it. That's great. But I think they missed a golden opportunity here to showcase a style of game that is just badass. The RPG is just badass. It's just a badass game, and it's insanely fun. And anyone can play it, and there's no real right or wrong way to play it. And it can just bring those same emotions you get when you're watching Game of Thrones and Arya drops the knife to whatever she does. I don't want to give you spoilers. That same kind of emotive response you can recreate at the table, unlike any other genre before it. So I really do think that it's the gamers that have been given a disservice to. Video games are often played solo, so the respawn is like making another choice in the choose-your-own-adventure books. It doesn't affect things as much as it is solo. Video games have had save buttons since day one. People making up analogies now. You know, they say, I don't know. I have no idea. You can play video games on hard mode where that can happen, but I don't like it because I don't have the time to play it all through again. Yeah, I can't do that. Roguelike video games, permadeath with no saves. People I introduced to RPG say it reminds them of those roguelike video games. They like it. I don't think that people are afraid of having their characters killed, especially in a game like D&D or CNC that has, you can respawn, you can resurrect, you can raise dead. It might not be easy, but you can do it. You can resurrect, you can raise dead, you can reincarnate. The CK can step in and fiat and resurrect your character. You don't actually have to have a spell. The CK can decide whatever they want to do. Maybe the character wants to sacrifice their +5 Holy Avenger to bring back Bob. The CK can say, okay, the sword's gone, Bob returns. So the RPG has a natural respawn built into it. I didn't ever really realize that until much later in my gaming whatever. But it's already there. And I think, so I don't think that, I don't think that whole aspect of it has impacted. I think that what's happened is game designers have assumed that video game players, because the respawn is so automatic, the video game players need that in the game, and I don't think they need it. When you give it to them, will they use it? Of course they're going to use it. Why wouldn't they? Are they going to get addicted to it? No, I don't think so. I think you take it away, it'd be no big deal. I think that's just, this is the way this game plays. I think a lot of the problem is that DM CKs aren't comfortable with rules lawyers. Well, there certainly is that. I mean, you certainly get. You certainly, I'm a little bit. I get a little bit defensive when I'm running a game and they start running rules back at me. I'll get kind of cantankerous if rules come at me. It's one reason I like games like CNC. There's so rules light, but it's very interesting. Video gamers are used to death. Designers are building RPGs for storytellers and plot armoring the characters. Yet I don't think they need to plot armor the characters. I really don't. I think that the unique aspect of RPGs is the development of the story and the limitless number of possibilities. And I don't think you need to plot armor anybody to do that. Kill the rules lawyer first. There you go. That'll solve it. That'll solve it. I don't know. It's all very interesting. I really do want to, and I'm working on this, but figure out a way to actually reach out to younger gamers, in their teens and 20s, maybe 30s too, that have just adopted the hobby, and give them Castles and Crusades and drop that in their lap so that they can. And Tim, if you're still out there, I don't know if you are, but if you're out there, drop that, with the Player's Handbook's free. And get them to run some of these games and see if they like the slightly tougher, a little bit more ornery, character lifespan or what have you. I don't know, it's very interesting. Does anybody appreciate the players that work within the framework of the rules as written to affect the game despite the story? I do. I certainly never. It never bothers me if someone doesn't push the envelope. Todd Gray, who I think almost you game owner, he never pushes the envelope. Rarely. Chris Harris, on the other hand, pushes the envelope every game. Every 15 minutes, he's pushing the envelope. So it doesn't bother me. I think it's fine. I think that I'm a huge fan. I'm a huge fan of the player being as comfortable as humanly possible with the game that they're playing, and if they don't want to, push the envelope, if they don't want to speak in voices or whatever, I'm 100% fine with that. And if they don't even want to describe their character, I'm fine with that. It used to bug me some, but it doesn't anymore. I have a friend that is a teacher, and he oversees a high school gaming club. That should be very interesting. We should send him Eat to Surf. Tell him to get a hold of me. We'll send him a care package and see if he can't get some of these guys playing Castles and Crusades and see what happens. I think that would be really cool. I have found that just about anybody of any age group, when they go over from another game, when they start playing CNC, they love it. They absolutely love it. And I'm not turning this Ask Me Anything into a sales pitch for Castles and Crusades. Just as game philosophies go, it's certainly that as game design goes, the philosophy of CNC is definitely in par with the way I play. And I think I think many people, if they dive into it, would see its value very, very quickly. Just in the way they're doing stuff. Oh, Lord have mercy. Good God, it's 5 o'clock already. Oh, why am I yawning? Heavens above. All right, well, that's it today. This is another great, absolutely fantastic session. These Ask Me Anythings, I think we should do this once every day. I think it's cool. It really helps me focus on things that we're doing here and just the philosophy side of things. This is a great show. Absolutely love this give and take. But it is time for me to go find some food. I think it's going to be mac and cheese and some steak tips tonight. But you guys are great. Thanks, everybody, for coming out and joining us. If you haven't, give us a follow. I constantly forget to say that. We aren't going to do any kind of raid or anything today, but definitely appreciate everybody coming out. And we will see you guys Thursday for Jim's Tricks of Trade. Should have a new one. Should be up and running by Thursday morning. Blah, 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 blah. Also lets you just... yeah, there you go. De-stress. It does. Because there's a lot of stuff going on around here. But we're catching up. All right. So, you all have a great rest of your... Thanks for that. You deserve a great rest of your week. And we will see you on Thursday. Take it easy, everyone.